Welcome back, and it's time to load into this next cast I'm gonna do. It's a replay between Light and Hamburgersasu, aka DDuKKa. And let's hide the interface that we don't need. Don't want to spoil the game length. So it's Hamburgersasu against Light. Light is Hotube. It's one of his aliases that he uses. He is playing the brown Terran on the middle top spot, up against the middle right spot, where Hamburgersasu is located. They're chatting away a little bit. And let's see how good Light is against Hamburgersasu. We've already seen some games from Light on my channel. They were very, very exciting games, but he lost all of them. So let's hope for once that he wins the game. Because so far his track record on my channel is not looking that good. Though he did play by far one of the most exciting Terrans I've ever seen in my entire life in the game versus E-Hazard, which is one of my very first casts. I think it's like cast number 7 or 8, maybe 6. And I'm still just as bad at casting as I was back then. But it's an exciting game, and if you ever want to check out an exciting build for Terran, check out that video. It's a really close game, and probably should have saved that replay for way later into my casting career, so it could give it the justice it deserves. Anyway, let's get back to this game. Hamburgersasu starts off with 2 gateways, 2 pylons at his nexus. No pylon at his choke. He's gonna go for the third gateway, 4th gateway even. He's doing a 4th gateway build. This is the very first time I'm seeing that from the Koreans. Western people like to do this a lot. Koreans, this is the very first time I'm seeing it. And I'm curious to see how it works out. It might actually just work out because Light is going for 2 barrack into a command center. So it's going to be very low in units. It's going to be very difficult for him to hold a 4 gateway build from a Protoss, given that he's on 2 barracks. So only, he's going to have a very low unit count. He's going to throw down a bunker there, though. So that might help him a tiny bit, but it entirely depends on whether Hamburgersasu is going to use cannons for a cannon push, or if he's not going to use a cannon push. There's no forge out yet. Producing from every... Yeah, there's the forge. There's the probe. He's going to throw down a pylon somewhere in Hotube's base. Light is not going to like this style at all, but he does have enough Marines at the moment. And he's going to go hunting for that pylon. He cancels the pylon, forces Hamburgersasu to retreat. The probe takes some damage, but the Zealots are going to group with 4 more Zealots. And here... Light scouted the entirety of Hamburgersasu's base. Sasu sends his zealots in, pulls his SCV off the bunker, pulls his SCV back all the way, pulls his marines back to the bunker, micros in between his barracks, and a couple of SCVs all of the SCVs are pulled off the minerals to make sure you can repair, but Hamburgersasu does not attack the bunker. He chases the marines around. He tries to block the Zealots with his SCVs, but he's gonna have to attack with his Marines and not lose all these SCVs. He pulls the SCVs back to his minerals eventually, but he did lose a couple of SCVs there. Lost a lot of mining time, and Light tries to deny the cannons, but Hamburgersasu has so many Zealots out there, streaming in from his 4 gateway Zealot pump, that he can definitely survive. Definitely get those cannons down. Unless Hamburgersasu gets all of his SCVs caught here. He takes a lot of takes a lot of damage from the Marines on his Zealots, and most of the Zealots go down, in fact. And actually, he might have completely made the wrong choice there. He should have just attacked the SCVs there instead of pulling them back, because now Light has enough units and he can take down this attempt at a cannon push. So very good job from Light, and a little bit of mismanagement from Hamburgersasu, getting his Zealots stuck in there, not fighting back, losing almost every single one of them without taking any units with him. So now the back and forth has restarted, but there are so many Marines out there for Light that he's never going to be able to deny Hamburgersasu from pulling off his plan, although he doesn't have his Zealots in between those Marines, but the Marines microing away from each other, the Zealots going down. Now those cannons at the front will not be able to finish. Well, actually, one finishes, but he's gonna be able to take it down before it gets his first shot. It gets 2 shots off. The second one also gets a single shot off. It goes down. Zealots come walking in. These SCVs are gonna try to focus down. No, they're not gonna focus down. They're gonna move back and help with fighting against these Zealots. Marines microing away from the Zealots. Zealots trying to take down as many Marines as they can. But the little bit of damage that these SCVs provide and the little bit of blocking that these SCVs add to the fight are really helping Light in fighting off this 4 Gateway Zealot mass production attack. And Light, again, forced to pull back. The cannons have finished, but all the way in a choke. And Light is kind of rich because of that +1 CC he got. So despite the very early +1 CC, and starting off with 2 barracks, he's able to survive the cannon push attempt from Sasu. And Sasu, having invested a lot of minerals into that 4 gateway pump and into those cannons, is kind of delayed now. As you can already see, he's on 33 probes. Well, he's on 27 probes against 35 SCVs. So Light has the advantage in economic terms, which also gives him the ability to throw down a lot of bunkers near the front side of his base to help himself defend against the attempts from Sasu to deal damage. Bunkers are way easier to micro around than just having units, Marines micro without a bunker to micro around. Also, the bunker first has to go down and then you can attack the Marines. So it's a very good choice to go bunkers against a cannon push attempt, or just against Zealots, or just against anything really. Bunkers are awesome to defend with. Zealot walking around, getting a little bit of information for Sasu. Now he knows exactly the status of Light's base, his build order, where he is, what he's doing. And as Sasu now feels the clock ticking, because given that Light has a very early +1 CC, has more workers than Sasu, and has a 3rd CC on the way, he knows that Light is economically very, very big. And as you can see, he already has 1,000 or more overmine. So he can start throwing down every single building that he needs very quickly. And he might even max his base out by 10-minute mark. So Sasu has to create an answer very rapidly. He's thrown down 2 Nexuses. He's got 2 Dark Templars on the way. Turrets are being constructed for Light because he already has an engineering bay. These Dark Templars not going to do all that much damage at all. Although he has a scan even. So he can scan those Dark Templars once he has the energy for it. He just used his scan, so he doesn't have energy as of yet. But there's a turret here in the back. Dark Templars going to do a lot of work in taking down Marines in this bunker line here. And going to prevent the bunker line from advancing forward towards the choke itself. Now he's going to have to throw down a bunch of turrets. He gets scan off, but scan only gets vision of a single Dark Templar, but the Dark Templar manages to escape as it nearly walks away, and the Marines wants him to pick it up. Now the Dark Templar is going back in, but the turret in the back line there has finished. The turret in the front line is almost finished. He managed to take down the SCV, but both the Dark Templars walk into the range of the turret and both die. So Light averts crisis, which is a much... Did he just... How? What? He bugged the SCV onto the hill? What happened there? Why is it SCV on the hill? That was definitely not intended, but it just so happened to bug itself onto the hill. I've never seen it before. It's really nice. Also unfortunate because now the Marines are rendered useless for building things, but it gives him extra vision over the hill in case drops are coming in, and drops are gonna come in because there's already a single robotic facility has finished, and 3 more are being warped in. He's got Storm Upgrade on the way, and Gravitic Boosters for his shuttles on the way too. And Zealot Lags and Zealot ground weapon upgrades are on the way. So Sasu is definitely occupied with building a response to Light's current state of affairs. Light's base was very messy. I honestly think this might be one of the games at the start of Light's fastest map career. Hence the disorganized look of his base. Although the disorganized look of his base is also kind of thanks to the cannon push attempt from Sasu. Most players tend to lose their SimCity ability when a cannon push starts because they kind of just need the building very fast while they're microing and fighting. So the mess that is his base kind of makes sense, but it's gonna make expanding his base and getting all the buildings where he wants them a little bit harder, because now he's going to have to take down all these bunkers, clear out all these turrets here, open up a room, open up space, and that's definitely going to slow him down, because that's a lot of extra actions, and it takes a lot of time to clear all these bunkers out. But that's going to give Sasu a lot of time that he needs. There's no turrets here on the top side, on the west side of Light's base. Light doesn't see it flying in. The Reaver gets popped out. Reaver gets 3 kills. Reaver's gonna get another shot off maybe on all these SCVs. Gets 10 kills in total. Another shot comes out and it takes down about 14 SCVs in total. So he manages to slow down Light just a little bit, because Light didn't have this top west corner covered with turrets or units. So the drop is maybe out a little bit faster than he had anticipated, and he hadn't prepared for it. But now he's prepared for draws. Turrets are down on all sides of his base. Bunch of turrets here, bunch of turrets there, everywhere. And there's barracks floating over the hills too, to give him a little bit of vision and provide vision for these turrets, so they can fire over the hill instead of having to wait for the shuttle to fly over the hill into the vision here. Because turrets cannot see over the hills, which is kind of unbalanced, but you know, just part of the map. The map itself is a little bit unbalanced, I will admit as much. So shuttles have been loaded up for Sasu. They're gonna come flying in from the west side, loaded up with Templars, 4 Templars and a lot of Zealots. But Light can see those shuttles moving through the vision here. Maybe he didn't see them, maybe just placed those Marines there by chance. But he's got a bunch of Goliaths out, and Sasu decides not to fly in all the way. He drops all of his units in the corner. He's gonna take down those turrets, take down those Marines, and force Light to pull all of his units from the front into the top side. Another drop comes flying in right afterwards. This one has Templars, but he doesn't get. He gets a single Templar out, but the Templar does not get in range of the SCVs. The Templar does storm a bunch of Marines though. It's on 50 energy. If it stays alive, he can get another storm off, but he's probably gonna die very, very soon. And Sasu not able to deal any more damage to Light. Light being on 4 command centers has already replenished the SCVs that he lost earlier, but there is a hole in the southwest of Light's base. A drop comes flying in. Light responds a little bit late. Templars get in range. Templars get their storms off, but they don't storm on top of the SCVs. And 6 SCVs go down, but not the SCVs that he wants to kill. So Light again averts receiving damage, pulling his SCVs off of his minerals, responding correctly to the attempt of assault, defense, attempted drop. That's the word. So Sasu again tries the exact same thing, but this time he's gonna try from a different angle. Light has a barrack floating over the hill there, so we can see it has a little bit more buffer time. So 2 Corsairs, 2 shuttles, comes flying in. Will Light respond in time? Light responds, doesn't pull up his SCVs, but pulls his Goliaths in. Sasu gets the storm, he kills about 8 SCVs. Does he have another Templar? No, doesn't have another Templar in there. Shuttle dies. I kind of like Goliaths as drop defense because they're pretty good at taking down shuttles. Although, on this channel we've often seen people go for raids. Raids are way easier to manage, they're not blocked by buildings. Like these Goliaths are blocked by buildings right here, or blocked by SCVs. Raids can just fly all over the place and take down shuttles. But Light is hurting a little bit. His income is quite low because he has to pull up his SCVs non-stop, continuously, all the time, non-stop, pulling them off. And it forces his SCVs to enter a queue so they can mine. Because they all start trying to mine on the exact same mineral patch. And then they kind of move along the queue to pick a mineral patch. So it takes quite long for all of them to start remining. Drop comes in from the west, northwest, drops in range of the SCVs. Gets a storm off any SCVs, not a second storm, just a single storm. Second storm comes off on the tanks. He killed about 10 SCVs there. So every single drop so far has killed about 10 SCVs. Resetting Light back to the 66 mark every single time. But Light has been adding on to his base. His base has been getting bigger. He's got a lot of factories now. He's going to have to throw down way more factories though, because this won't be enough to match the amount of macro that Sasu can pump out with all of these gateways and robotic, God, what's the name? Robotic facility. That's the name. Sorry for messing that up. Well, Sasu's now going to throw down cannons here. These cannons will prevent these barracks from floating all the way out here. They're going to have to pull back a little bit. It's going to make it a little bit easier for Sasu to fly his drops in. as Light will have less vision here on the sides. That's what these cannons are for. Forces him to pull these barracks back a little bit closer to his base. Let's see here, or it's gonna die. So drop flies in. He might have seen that drop flying over those cannons there with the extended vision from his floating barracks. Floating barracks is gonna go down to the dragoons, but the drop comes flying in. Drop gets spotted. Goliaths get pulled in to intercept it. SCVs get pulled off the minerals. There's 4 Templars in there, and he storms all of the SCVs. With those 4 storms, pretty much happen all at the exact same time, and he covers the entire area over which Light pulls his SCVs to his own gas. This is one of the reasons why I prefer to have vision of gas on another spot, so you can send them there instead of sending them to your own gas, because it's kind of predictable and it's easier. Like if the Templars are here, it's easier to storm this entire region. If you pull your SCVs into this direction by clicking on the gas in another spot, the Templars here won't be able to storm here or here. They are forced to storm in this little area, and those SCVs have a way higher chance of surviving if you send them to the gas on another spot. But Koreans love to send their SCVs to gas in their own base, and given that they're so spread out like this, like the Western map, it is somewhat of a viable option, but it's not as safe as just sending them away completely. So now Light has been reset to a very low SCV count. Hamburgersasu has 108 probes, which is way too many. Way too many. He has to kill at least 20 of those. But he is making a little bit of an advancement here at the front, killing a couple of units behind the bunkers. But not killing any of the bunkers themselves. But he is forcing Light to focus on defending instead of rebuilding. So Light... Well, the 4 command centers are helping him rebuild though. And the fact that he has so much gas means he doesn't need to mine any more gas for a while. So that also helps him with rebuilding, because now he can focus completely on just getting his mineral income back on track. And then building his base, producing tanks, and all that kind of stuff that he needs to survive and potentially go forward and counterattack anytime soon. Hamburgersasu hasn't really added much onto his base. He's been very focused on producing and producing and producing and sending and attacking. And on having too many probes. Kill those 28 probes, you don't need them. You've got a lot of... They're not contributing to your income anymore. So kill them, please, at some point. You're gonna have to need a bigger mass. Your mass is smaller as a result. But this drop, will it be effective? It's gonna come flying in over the northwest. Goliaths get pulled in to help deal with the drop. SCVs dodging the storm. But about 10 SCVs get caught in the storm because they weren't hotkeyed, so they didn't get pulled off the minerals. But 41 SCVs still alive. He killed about 20 SCVs there, in fact. So nice pickup. Again, slow slide down, keeps him locked in low income. Keeps him from getting nice and comfy on defending. These Goliaths, while pretty good at defending, aren't really doing the trick as of yet. Raids would do the trick. So I'm kind of disagreeing on the choice of Goliaths. I know I said earlier that I kind of like them. I'm now kind of disliking them. Another drop comes flying in from the exact same direction. This time he's dropping right into the middle of these units. And the Templars come. The Templars don't storm on the minerals. He didn't pull his SCVs out of his minerals. He could have killed all those SCVs there, but he decides to storm on the tanks. Maybe he was anticipating that he wouldn't be able to kill the SCVs if he tried to storm on them. Not entirely sure what his thought process was there, but it was not the best storm. Not the best storm. Definitely not the best storm. But I am 100% sure it was under the assumption that those SCVs would be pulled off the minerals and sent to a gas on the side there, and that the storm would have been of more use if it was used on tanks. So I can understand the reasoning behind it, I just don't agree with the end result. Another drop comes flying in. This time he's flying over a lot of turrets, and the Goliaths helping him taking down the shuttles. The shuttles go down before he can drop a Templar in range of the SCVs, and the drop ends up killing a single turret. This did a little bit of damage with the splash damage from the tanks to his own CCs there, but he winds up not getting anything out of the drop. So now Sasu is finally starting to build carriers. He's got there's 2 cybernetics cores. There is the fleet beacon. So he definitely can answer this push from Light. Light decides to push out, Even though he has a very low SCV count, he's got enough gas to facilitate this push, but his units are getting cut out, as most of his tanks are not sieged and won't be able to deal with all these zealots. The zealots also have superior upgrades. Let's... yes, the zealots are on 2-2 upgrades, and his tanks are on 2-3 upgrades, so actually he is on superior upgrades over Sasu. And even though he is so very poor, he is still macroing really well, producing from every single factory that he has, and his mass is pretty good. He's gonna have to produce a lot of tanks, adding in some vultures too. I think he has mines upgraded too, and he's actually going for the counter push, even though his income is so low. But because he's on the counter push, he immediately recognized the window, a chance for him to get the leverage over Sasu. Sasu unable to meet and respond to this mass adequately because he has too many probes on his minerals, so his mass is smaller than it could be. He could easily kill 30 or 40 of his probes in order to meet the demands of his mass. So he's just gonna have to deal with small mass against a huge mass. This 55 SCVs means he can... there's 145 in supply he can use to produce mech, tanks, Goliaths, vultures, everything that he needs to fight against Sasu. You can only make 94 imp psi. So let this be a lesson, kind of. If you notice that your income is very high, you have a lot of minerals, kill some probes, make sure you don't have too many probes, because you're gonna regret having a small mass against a Terran. Terrans are very, very ground dominant, and you won't even be able to make his carriers. His carriers will not be out in time. So beautiful counter push from Light, recognizing when he can go for it. And this is pretty much a sealed deal. This is pretty much a complete win for Light, despite the fact that it was pushed into a corner and had very low minerals and very low SCV count, and was constantly under a lot of pressure. He managed to build his base, get the mass that he needed, get all the upgrades that he needed, which is also a key factor. The upgrades he has are definitely helping him in taking down the zealots and everything that Sasu was trying to throw at him. So I don't see a single way for Sasu to make the comeback here. Sasu is dead. He's producing carriers now, but the carriers will be out way too late to make a difference. Plus, he doesn't have the carrier upgrades either. So he's gonna have his carriers. Yeah, he calls it GG. He knows he's lost. He doesn't have the upgrades for his air to meet this. Carriers won't be out in time. Plus, Light can just throw out a bunch of Goliaths. Sasu on 140 psi, Light on 199 supply. So beautiful little game from Light, showing us why he is so good, which mostly comes down to great decision making. Although I have to admit his drop defense game is kind of weak, he has a great game sense in every single other area, and it ended up working in his favor. And Sasu kind of didn't manage to pull off his game plan as he intended it to. Yeah, thanks for watching. It was a pretty good game. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back for more in the future. Sayonara.